sinners and saints. Dust off those horns and halos. It's time for Alan After Dark.
Sinners and saints, how you feeling tonight? You feeling well? You feeling sexy? You feeling pussy? Are you horny? I hope you are if you want to be. I kind of said I was going to stop saying that, didn't I? But I've not done it yet. You know, it's almost like habit these days. But how you doing? I hope you're doing great. My God, it has been so hot. We had this weird brief break in the weather where it was kind of cool at night. It felt like autumn. And now suddenly it is back to surface temperature of the sun temperatures. Did that make sense? I don't know. How best to describe how hot it is? Well, the other day at the park, there was this hot guy, and I was, well, let's just call it cruising, which is what it was, you know. No sense of me being a hypocrite or anything, right? I'm not some delicate virgin flower, you know. I'm more like the worn out tread of a tire on a 56 Chevy or something like that. Jesus, I don't know. So he lured me over to a shaded area, kind of hidden, and he undid the pants, but it was so hot that when his pork sword fell out, it turned into bacon. Fried up in the pan, baby. Jesus. We could call that sizzling, and I'd still eat that up. Creating your own lard. I mean, literally, Crisco it up. He was a golfer, and I'm telling you what, he had one amazing back nine. But like I've said before, I love the hot weather. So even though I was putting out the bacon and frying it up in the pan, I still enjoyed it. I hate winter, so this is my better option. And I'm probably just preparing myself for hell anyway. Now, I don't know about you all, but obviously I am a liberal when it comes to my politics. But like I've said, it's not politics when I'm talking about my own survival and my community's survival. I don't know if you all watched the Democratic National Convention last week, but if you did, you were blown away like me. Wasn't that the most awesome roll call with Little John in Georgia? That was flawless. And Michelle Obama's speech and Barack Obama's speeches were incredible. But what really got me was the amazing night when Tim Walz's son, Gus, stood up and applauded. He had tears in his eyes. He was crying, and he was saying and pointing, "That's my dad." A young man so caught up in the pride and love of his father that the emotions were overwhelming. And it was a beautiful moment. But leave it to those on the right wing, the MAGA, aka maggots, the shrill, vaporous, bitter, angry cunts like Ann Coulter, to go on Twitter and make fun of the boy, not apparently understanding that he has a nonverbal learning disability. He has, I think it's called NVLD, and I believe he's also been diagnosed with ADHD and a couple of other things. She posted on Twitter, Ann Coulter, you know, the blonde bitch who thinks she's God, but she's been engaged like 7 times and she's been dumped, not even cum dumped, but dumped before they ever got married. She basically called him weird in a tweet, and the backlash was so enormous that she didn't really apologize, but she did delete the tweet and try to deflect and say that she was justified in using the word weird because the Democrats have been calling J.D. Vance and Trump weird, but that's a totally different thing. Trump and Vance were supposed to be adults, and they fucking act weird because they are weird and stupid and bizarre. J.D. Vance has obviously fucked more couches than I've sucked dicks. Now that's saying something. Holla. There were other pundits on the conservative side that were weighing in and basically, without knowing Gus's history and his diagnosis, they were calling him like a bitch-ass pussy. He's an example of what men are turning out to be when they're a Democrat. And it got me to thinking, first of all, middle finger to all those motherfuckers. You know, how dare you bully anyone, much less a young man who has a nonverbal learning disability. Jesus. But what it struck me is that they were, once again, applying their beliefs in what a quote-unquote man should be. They were saying that him crying and showing pride and love for his father wasn't masculine. But what gets me about that is that they were referring to a behavior. These are the same people that bash transgender people every damn day, 24/7, demonizing transgender people every way they can possibly think. You know, the whole thing, what is a woman? Based on their argument, the only thing that makes a woman is a pussy, a vagina, the vulva, the ability to have children. And for a man, in their eyes, their definition, they have to have dick and balls, meat and potatoes, and the ability to impregnate a woman with a vagina. But if they really believe that, that is their definitions of what a man and a woman are, they can't make the argument that Gus Walls is some kind of bitch-ass pussy female because he's got a dick, right? A dick that can impregnate a female. Do they ever see their hypocrisy? Do they ever understand how stupid they are when they play both ends of a subject and act like they're not being hypocrites or stupid? Do you all see what I'm saying there? They were literally defining Gus Waltz, a young man, as a girl based on his behavior, not remembering that their argument against transgender people is that you have to have a puss or a dick. If you don't have those things and you can't create them, you have to be able to reproduce children, then you can't be the other sex. I just wish I could really make them see how stupid they really are. Damn, my claws are out tonight, aren't they? I'm just sick of these motherfuckers. I swear to God, where do they get off acting like they are the moral hierarchy of the world? Why do they think that they have the right to even dictate anything to anyone else? They actually believe that there should be, like, I'm guessing, some sort of 10 commandments chiseled in unbreakable stone that dictates all of our behaviors and who we should be and how we should be, even though they themselves wouldn't even meet their own definitions. I mean, for God's sakes, J.D. Vance, he wears more eyeliner than any drag queen that I know. He wears more eyeliner than any Karen I know. Jesus. The orange turd, Donald Trump, how much makeup and spray-on tan does he use? Seriously? I guess maybe because they have little bitty wieners and that still counts, that it's okay for them to wear their makeup because they're acting like men. But I have always wondered, where did those stereotypes come from? What is a man? What is a woman? How a man behaves versus how a woman behaves. You know, growing up here in the South with several of these very extreme religions, I've mentioned them before, but I went to school with several, members of a family. There were several of my classmates that were sisters, and their religion made them always wear dresses and skirts. They were not allowed to wear pants because in their religion, pants pertain to clothing that men wear. There is a scripture in the Bible, the King James Version of the Bible, that talks about women not wearing clothing that pertains to a man. Now, I have no clue exactly what that means, but the girls that I went to school with, they were instructed that that meant that they could not wear pants, that pants were clearly defined to be for men. But who said that? In the colder regions of this world, this planet, women have always worn things around their legs to keep them warm. In the Middle East and other Asian countries, men wear robes that could be described as dresses. And men around the world wear kilts. Well, why aren't kilts considered skirts? I always asked them why they thought that pants, jeans, were a male article of clothing. And they never could really say exactly why they believed it, other than men are the ones who mostly wear them all the time, and that women tend to have other options like dresses and skirts and things. So what they were doing is they were clearly defining certain things to apply to men versus certain things applying to women, when there is no basis for that. There is no rule written anywhere that I've ever found that said that women have to wear dresses and that only men can wear pants. It just seems like one of the most ridiculous ways to manipulate and control women, to make them subservient to the rules, the orders, the control of men. And I really don't get it. I really don't understand why what you wear has any bearing on the salvation of your soul. For God's sakes, weren't Adam and Eve naked at first until they partook of the forbidden fruit and saw their own nakedness, and I guess was embarrassed, even though they'd been seeing it the whole time? I'm pretty sure that married couples or dating couples see each other naked all the time. It's probably why I'm single, right? Person look at me, they'd start throwing up immediately. Don't blame them, God. But why did we allow this? The only reason why it was allowed in these religions is because they were trying to control women. And I know I've harped on this so much over the past few weeks and months, but to me it's exasperating to have to keep going back to this topic and reminding people that they're being brainwashed into believing things that have no foundation or evidence to prove that that is the truth, the reality. So I've always wondered, where do these things come from? It's like, what makes a man? I've said it before, and I used a Golden Girls reference, but men are our behaviors. Are we supposed to chew tobacco and smoke cigarettes? Are we supposed to sit with our legs spread totally wide? Are we supposed to scratch our balls in public? Are we supposed to hawk up loogies and spit everywhere? Are we supposed to scratch our behinds and wear baseball caps? Are we supposed to act like John Wayne or Harrison Ford or, well, I was going to say Tom Cruise, but Jesus. Ugh. And what makes a woman is a woman, someone who's demure, a Marilyn Monroe, or someone who is not only demure and sexy, but aggressive like Madonna. If a woman lets her hair under her arms grow, is that wrong because hairy armpits are usually a male thing? Where does it stop? Are women supposed to always shave their legs because hairy legs are supposed to be for guys? Where does it stop? And where are the lines? You know, we've had the Kinsey scale for sexual orientation, which is pretty much outdated. But is there a scale that's supposed to say, if you're a 10, you're female, if you're a 1, you're male? And what leads you to be that way? Is it about farting and bragging about it? Is it just lipstick and mascara and makeup versus facial hair and mohawks and tank tops and burps? Seriously, if they're going to claim one version is male and one version is female and one version is a man and one version is a woman, shouldn't they have to clearly define those things and not be able to deviate from them? But they don't, because whether they want to admit it or not, it's not a black and white world. We're somewhere in the gray. I know you guys are going to roll your eyes, but I got to talk about it again. All of this stems from our own personal attractions, doesn't it? What we like. We define masculine, feminine, or anything else in the spectrum. What I find masculine, I'm sure that no one else does. You all know at this point, because I won't shut up about it, that I am head over heels in fuck with Henry Cavill. I've said it over and over. To me, he is the epitome of masculine beauty. There is not one thing on his body that I wouldn't lick. I'll just put it that way. We all can recognize beauty in all forms, I think, except for people like Ann Coulter. I'm pretty sure she would have let Rush Limbaugh, and she probably would let Donald Trump teabag her. Oh, God. Maybe it would be more like Tucker Carlson or Sean Hannity. She probably fingers herself thinking about it. Oh, Jesus Christ. I just want to vomit thinking about that bitch. Ironic, isn't it, that J.D. Vance would call her a crazy cat lady, right? She's in her 60s and never been married and is a bitter-ass bitch. Seems to be the type that he criticizes, which is probably the type that he likes. But for me and for all of you, none of us sees beauty in the same way. And I think that you could take that same concept and apply it to what we view as masculine and feminine. Most of us don't really even think about it when we see someone that we're attracted to. It's probably an afterthought when we see, well, like my Mohawk man at the grocery store. Oh my God. This past week, he was just, I don't know, he was on fire. He was just absolutely kicking it. Those tight pants, the Mohawk was just working my every nerve. The tattoo along the right side of his head where the hair has been shaved off. But I don't know that I think about him being macho or masculine, even though I guess based on the way he behaves, he is imitating macho and masculine, right? In a lot of ways, because society defines how masculinity is and femininity is. I think most of us learn that and behave because that's the way society says a certain type of person behaves. Doesn't mean it's right or wrong or real. It just means that we have adapted to what society says these things are. But your attraction is your attraction. We've all been there. We've all been to parties where we're all drinking and having a good time, and you'll see the most macho guy that you think is all of a sudden turn into the biggest flamboyant queen in the world, sashaying, shantying, and we all love it. There's something about the whole thing that can make you feel really good and excited and aroused. I wonder why. I guess, it might have actually stemmed from the old kings and queens of Europe, influenced out of fear. Like you would define these things to possibly prevent certain diseases or unhealthy behaviors. Well, that's what the book of Leviticus in the Bible, under Roman law, that's what that was about. The abominations a lot of time were created out of fear of the unknown. That if you ate pork, bacon, sausage, ham, dick, that they didn't know if it could cause diseases. So out of fear, they created an abomination. Like out of fear, they demonize transgender people, queens, gay people, all of us. Just thinking out loud about that does seem to make a little sense. It doesn't seem right. It's not right because the law was dictated out of fear, not out of logic or science, because people eat bacon and sausage and ham and dick all the time and are just fine. But anything like, meats and stuff that are undercooked or raw can make you sick. So maybe all these things, men behave this way, women behave that way because of the fear of the unknown. In the book of Leviticus, women who were having their period, they were forced to stay outside the village or town or whatever during that time frame. And I guess they would call it unclean. I have a feeling now, just talking about it, that it was just a fear of blood, right? They didn't know what that did, that maybe it caused infection, illness, death, who knew? And so maybe men were just being pussies about it and out of fear wanted them to stay outside the town because they were afraid of the blood. Maybe they were afraid if the blood touched them somehow that they would turn into girls themselves. Sounds stupid when I say it, but you know what? People are stupid, right? The right wing certainly seems like they are, with their ridiculous notions about transgender people, drag queens, gay men, lesbian women, bisexuals, women in general, people with disabilities. I mean, is there anybody that they don't hate other than rich, white, old men? That seems to be their only love fest, is for those types of people. Everybody else just can suck boogers off a paper plate. I don't know what that means, but just roll with it, okay, people? God, sinners, and saints, we're heading toward happy hour here shortly, and I'm getting excited. And I don't want to be all pissed off, although angry sex can be fun. Who am I kidding? I'm going to have sex tonight. Maybe with my bedroom doorknob, but not with a person. Shit. Thank you for joining me for this crazy episode of Alan After Dark. I know you've had fun and been entertained and pissed off. That was the plan. Remember, take life by the balls and be real. We'll see you soon. Thank you.